It's the Big 12 Mojo Rankings. Now, you've heard of power rankings. Seemingly every outlet under the sun has a power ranking, and this is my own twist on power rankings, taking some of the same basic concepts and just putting a little bit of my own spin on it, but pretty much the same idea. I call it the Mojo Rankings because as much as wins and losses matter, and like in power rankings as well, there's other things that come into play outside of just your record. And I actually saw some power rankings this week where it's like just the standings. I don't want to do that. I want to like really take the temperature of a team because there can be a team that's 1-1 that's not in a good place or as good of a place as a team that's 0-1. So we'll see some of that on this list this week. But starting off with the bottom four of the Mojo Rankings. At number 16 got UCF. I mean, by the skin of their teeth, they avoided disaster in Scott Frost's first game back. Scott Frost 2.0. Eventually, after an injury to Cam Fancher, they land on Taven Jackson. We know that was a battle. The quarterback battle was an all offseason long thing all the way up until the first game. And then Taven Jackson thrust in the spotlight, did some good things for UCF there at the end of the game to put them over the top and get them a win. But, man, it was by the hair of their chinny chin chin. And I just need to see more. Miles Montgomery's awesome. He is a great player. He's going to be big time for them and be a big reason why they win games if they win games moving forward. But I don't think we'll learn much against North Carolina A&T this week. Good to get a win, but it was just really kind of unimpressive. So for right now, if we're going not just off records, but also do I think they would beat this team or that team or this team from the rest of the league? I say no to pretty much everybody right now against UCF. So the Knights are going to start at the bottom of this list. At number 15, Kansas State. I don't think they're the 15th worst team in the Big 12. I think that when all is said and done, they'll be in the upper half of the Big 12. But we started talking about this after the Ireland trip, just the weird vibes. The Johnson family situation notwithstanding, that certainly added to it. But then they come out last week and playing a very respectable opponent, just struggled way more than you anticipated. Now, could that have been the hangover game that Chris Kleiman was referring to? Maybe so. So then, in theory, we should see them play a lot better this week. But it just feels like things are sort of off. And when I heard him talk about the young or the new players not vibing just right just yet with maybe some of the mainstays, it tells me that they are very much a work in progress. So for right now, if we're going off of just wins, they'd be a little bit higher. But since we're also incorporating vibes and uncertainties and everything that we can possibly measure, I'm putting K-State at number 15. At number 14, Oklahoma State. I think that the curveball thrown with the Haas Haney injury was just a real killer. But at the same time, if they're not very good this year, guess what Mike Gundy can say? Well, we lost our starting quarterback in the very first game of the year. Not that he really needs built-in excuses, but that was something that was really unfortunate to see. So we'll see what Zane Flores is able to do. He had some nice moments the other night, but they're just very much an incomplete on my report card right now. They've got Oregon coming up this weekend. I'm trying to find ways where that looks good on the other side of it, and I'm really struggling to. If anything, they can be a pleasant surprise moving forward. But for right now, I've got Oklahoma State at 14. And then at 13, the Arizona Wildcats. They handled their business last week. Looked good against Hawaii and do the whole transitive property. Hey, they beat Hawaii, who beat Stanford. We got a Power 5 win. It's not exactly how it works. But for Arizona, one of the teams I was lower on coming into this year, they took care of their business. Not much more than that to really blow you away. So for right now, good on the win, but I wouldn't take them over a lot of the other teams that we'll be talking about here in a second. So there's my first four: UCF, K-State, Oklahoma State, Arizona. And like I said, this is based off wins, but also how you look, how you feel, how you play, all those different types of things on and off the field. And so what do you think?
Okay, well, one of the things about Arizona, they did look good, but they beat a team that I think had already played a game.
Yeah, I just said that with Stanford.
Yeah, so that's, at least that's a team that you would have thought that would have picked it up a little bit after their opening game. So that was nice. I don't expect that much from them, but Fafita, hopefully they have something coming. Just seeing K-State that low, but there's something, and you mentioned this even after the game against Iowa State and Ireland, there's something missing there, and there's a lot of grumbling. I don't know about if that means they're the 15th team, but at least far from what you've seen as far as the evidence. You're being honest. I know that's what you do.
Hey, if we're incorporating vibes, theirs are about as low as anybody's right now. Doesn't mean they can't get better in a hurry, and maybe they do. I have faith that K-State's not going to be at 15 or in that same grouping when we get to the end of the season. But, man, what a story that would be if they are. So there are the first four now, 12 through 9. Bang. Thank you.
That was very magical.
It's perfect, guys, by the way. I think this all worked out really nicely. So thank you for the producers behind the scenes helping make this happen for all of us.
You mean Brandon, Garrett, and Andrew?
Yes, Brandon, Garrett, and Andrew. Great job, guys. So this will be an every week thing, and looking forward to continuing this and kind of just playing around with it as we move forward. But for right now, at number 12, I've got Cincinnati. Respectable loss to Nebraska. I think what was most shocking to me was just how bad the offense looked and how bad Brendan Sorsby looked and just the complete lack of an ability to pass the football. And part of it was Sorsby, who came into the season with as much hype as a Big 12 quarterback as most of the rest of them. I mean, he was a guy that maybe wasn't the first, second, or third, the Rocco Beck, Dave Reed Johnson, Sawyer Robertson type guy that you mentioned right away. But eventually, between those guys and a Josh Hoover and a Jalen Daniels, like you eventually get around to Brendan Sorsby, but he did not look like he belonged in that grouping. And really the Cincinnati offense in the passing sense was leaving a lot to be desired against the Huskers. I mean, that's partially Nebraska's defense, but I also felt like they didn't have guys fighting for the football. The interception at the end was part Sorsby, part wide receiver. So there's a lot to clean up there. I think there is something on defense to help them win some games this year. But for right now, they're at number 12. At number 11, got Willie Fritz and the Houston Cougars. Nice first game out of the gates for them. Nothing too crazy. No crazy tough opponent. They just handled their business. Connor Wegman looked good. I think the defense is going to be really tough for Houston, as is par for the course for Willie Fritz and into some cases the Cougars as well. But I think they're going to be a really solid team, and I'm putting them for right now at number 11 until we see a bit more.
And that's without Shield Wood, right?
Yeah, I think the defense is going to be fine.
Okay.
At number 10, West Virginia. They got pinged a little bit for all of the damn turnovers. They got to clean that up, obviously. But if you're going off of vibes, man, there are a lot of happy folks in Morgantown right now that love that Rich Rod's back. The vibes are back. The feeling that this is the guy that knows how to make West Virginia successful. I think that plays into having them maybe over some of the others that others might debate they should be above or not. But got to win right out of the gates. It's impossible to ignore the positives so far that Rich Rod's return has brought. I think Nico Marchiol's got a lot of promise, and they've got some good, talented players now. It was Robert Morris, so I'm not going too crazy. And, again, they did not play the cleanest of games against an opponent like a Robert Morris. But the vibes, like I said, just the general feel, the mojo, if you will, which is a big part of the reason why I use that term. I think they've got some good mojo, and they will be at Ohio this weekend. So we'll see how that goes. And then Pitt. So looking forward to how these schedules ramp up, and that'll be able to help us differentiate these teams. But so far, so good, but some definite things to clean up for West Virginia. And then Colorado at number 9. I think Dion and company talk about things to clean up. Caden Salter wasn't very good. He played timid. He was maybe trying to throw too much instead of just relying more on what his major weapon is, and that is his legs. Obviously, a lot of complaints about Pat Shurmur and the offensive play calling. And for a team that still prides itself on having a pretty respectable defense, which, people can debate or not, but they got absolutely gashed last week by Haynes King and Georgia Tech. Now, I think the Yellow Jackets and Haynes King are going to run on a lot of people, but there were a lot of red flags that popped up for Colorado last week. So now we know Juju Lewis is going to be seeing some time, which made the fans happy, but he's also just a freshman. Now, maybe he's the next great phenom in this sport, and if so, then Colorado will be rocketing up this list. But based off of just the total package, a loss, the way the loss looked, and a lot of question marks coming out of that, I'm going to put Colorado at number 9, and I feel like that might be a little high for some people. So there we go with the first half of the list.
Okay, Colorado's too high, in my opinion.
Fair.
And here's why. Not just going to disagree. It's not disagreeing. It's just my analysis. They played at home gave up over 300 yards rushing.
I get it.
And you mentioned Georgia Tech. That's a team that's going to, with their coach, they want to beat you and bloody you. But they also had 3 turnovers, and they didn't take advantage of 3 turnovers at home. No. That's a bad sign for me. I'm not saying they should be a 12 or 15, whatever, but that just seems to be a little bit too high because of what they did not take advantage of with the turnovers and gave up 300 yards rushing.
No, I totally get that, and I know that's where there probably will be some complaints, but these are Mojo/power rankings, so I'm still taking Colorado to beat some of the teams. Now, look, I will throw them at 14, 15, 16 if they look again next week like they looked last week. There was a lot of bad, but I think the vibes or the mojo is still there. Now, I think you lose another game here in the next couple weeks, those are going to get thrown off entirely.
You're going to have them play Houston in 2 weeks.
Exactly.
So there you go. Yep.
So this is just based off 1 week. You did play a very quality team in Georgia Tech, but you're right. There was a lot to not like about that. I think this will maybe be the sticking point for a lot of people, but I also don't think that they are the bottom tier just yet, although you could make a case they should be closer to a Kansas State. So there is the first half of the list, and rolling through 8 through 4.
I was about to throw down if you did not have them at 8.
Yeah,
and I'm not so sure they're 9, but I would. I was about to throw down.
I still think they're better than West Virginia and everybody else on that list. That if they lined up today, I feel like Baylor, and that's not the end-all be-all here, but I do think Baylor's still a good football team. I think they could also very well be 0-2, and I will not spin a loss to SMU, even if it's a walk-off field goal at the end. If you're 0-2, you're 0-2. You're going to drop mightily on this list, but for right now, I respect the opponent they played. They put up a bunch of numbers on offense, and I don't think that's going to be going anywhere. The defense is obviously a question that they've got to answer, or else they're going to fall in a hurry on this list. But for right now, I've got Baylor at 8, and they've got another big prove-it game coming up this weekend. I think they're a solid team despite the 0-1 start. Kansas off to a hell of a start so far this season. A lot of excitement, I think, about what we've seen at this point. Now, not necessarily the toughest competition, but guess what this weekend is going to have for us? The Missouri Tigers on the road for Kansas. So they might shoot up like 5 spots. But for right now, I really like what I've seen. But you get a logjam of the teams at the top, and you can only put people certain places.
Yeah, this is when cholesterol takes over when it comes to the Big 12, the top 5 to 16.
Yeah, so for right now, I've got Kansas at, I think, a very respectable 7, and this will sort itself out, but that's not a low number, I think. I like a lot of these teams ahead of them for right now. BYU, bludgeon Portland State. That didn't really teach us a lot, but it's hard to argue with just the momentum behind them. They're going to have to prove it with Bachmeier over the course of the season, but nice debut for him in the limited time that he had. There's the really stout football team with basically everything else off the field, on the field, despite the Jake Retzloff situation going in a pretty positive direction for them. I could see people wanting them higher, but it was Portland State, so I'm not going to get too over my skis about that just yet. And then Arizona State, the defending champs, at 5. I could see where I really did debate on them and BYU for this spot. Some of this is me just giving Arizona State the benefit of the doubt about not looking the best in week number 1, but they still have Sam Leavitt. Yes, there are questions, but I still feel like they're one of the top 5 football programs on the field and certainly overall big picture in the league right now. So I put Arizona State at number 5.
BYU just destroyed Portland State. You'd expect them to do that, but I saw what the Portland State coach said after the game about how impressed he was with Bachmeier.
They looked great.
Yeah. They when will they get tested? They have Stanford next, at East Carolina, then on the road against Colorado.
We'll see. I mean, Colorado might be 15 or 14 on here.
West Virginia at home.
Possibly.
And then at Arizona. I mean, they might. I could come back to haunt me. It's on video. Well, they might coast to like straight to 6-0 without getting tested.
Here's part of what came into my mind when we talk about that Portland State victory. What did Portland State do the week prior?
Well, you don't have to get me to start thinking that far back. I can't remember a damn thing.
They lost 42-0 to Tarleton. So they've been outscored 111-0 in the first 2 weeks. So I'm not going crazy over Portland State, but I think BYU's very good. For right now, though, I'm keeping them just outside the top 5, but they seem like a team that's poised to move up very quickly.
It's very nice of you, Garrett. We had Todd Whitten on, Tarleton State. No, I get what you're saying, but you're right. They got hammered. They got 111-0
Yes.
is the scores between their two opponents they've lost to. All right, there we go.
Let's get into the top 4 here and roll this thing on out. At number 4, I've got Texas Tech. Handled their business. The Baron Morton injury was kind of a curveball that you weren't necessarily expecting or certainly weren't hoping for. I think that seems to be a pretty positive prognosis as of right now, but definitely something to keep your eyes on. I know that you could have them higher, especially if you're counting off the field stuff. I mean, they just landed another 5-star earlier this week. If we were going simply off the field, they might be number 1, honestly. I'm poised to shoot them up these rankings, but I'm just not going to do it after beating up Arkansas Pine Bluff. So I'm very high on the Red Raiders. 4 is not a bad spot to be. And I think that if you're putting them any higher, then there is a case to be made depending on kind of how you do your rankings, which for me is a lot based on mojo, and they've got some great mojo going on right now. I just want to see a little bit more of the on the field before I put them over the top 3 who we saw some pretty good things from on the field so far. TCU, the nice win over North Carolina. That was a team that I don't really think could be considered a sleeper, but I guess they were in the sense that they were not really the first 5 or so names that were rattled off this offseason. It was always Baylor, Texas Tech, Arizona State, even a BYU, a Utah Resurgence, and TCU. So I feel like they kind of got disrespected a little bit, not just with the North Carolina buildup, but just kind of in general. And when you have a quarterback like Josh Hoover and you recruit as well as they have typically, I think they are a very sturdy number 3 after blowing out the Tar Heels. Although I'm not putting too much stock into that because North Carolina might be boo-boo, but it's still going out and playing North Carolina on the road on a Monday night with all that fanfare and just shoving it right down their throats. So going off mojo, they might actually deserve to be number 1. Yeah. At number 2, Utah looked like a buzzsaw. I don't think UCLA is very good either, but again, on the road, not even a big crowd to play in front of. Your crowd was the majority of the crowd in Los Angeles on Saturday night, but they looked really, really good. Only question I really have about them is beyond their incredible offensive line and their super sturdy defense, can they keep Devin Dampier healthy? If they can, then I think the sky is the limit for them. But I do think he needs to be careful and protect himself. And yeah, you got to use his legs, but they just need to protect him. And so long as they do, then things would or should go pretty well for Utah. So I have them at number 2. And then at number 1, the Iowa State Cyclones have just been thoroughly impressed by Matt Campbell and company. Rocco Beck's played great. I don't think there's a lot of weaknesses with this team. I think to go out to Ireland and play Kansas State in a close, tight ball game, but to get a big win like that, and then to turn around and play a team that could have been your hangover game like it was for a Kansas State, or maybe that's just Kansas State the rest of the year, but to turn around and beat a very respectable FCS program and not leave any doubt about the fact that you just mowed through them, I think was super impressive. So they've been lights out for the first couple of weeks.
Does that mean all the Utah Twitter feeds are starting to light up again? Are they?
I'm sure there probably are some.
Yeah.
You know, some say it's only a handful of people that are making all the noise, but I don't know. I think Utah fans are pretty happy by what they saw, but I know Iowa State fans are very happy with what they've seen up to this point as well. And I think with that K-State win, even though that'll be measured certain ways moving forward, I've just been super impressed by Iowa State. They were the team that I mentioned there at the beginning of the year as far as who could be some Big 12 sleeper picks or who would you lean towards. And I said that K-State Iowa State winner, I'm putting them in the Big 12 title game. And that was Iowa State, and I'm rolling with the Cyclones. I'm a believer in what they've got going on right now. I'm a believer in Rocco Becht, and I think they are, as of right now, the team with the most mojo in the Big 12. So there you go. The first edition of the Big 12 Mojo Rankings. We'll do this every week.